Was someone killed on this floor? Said 187. What does 187 mean?
That's a police code for murder.
I just heard 187.
That's a homicide. What's up, Wildcards? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is Wildcard Journeys. I'm your host, Eric, and I hit the road to make videos about the paranormal, various urban legends, or whatever I might encounter out there on the road. Now, if that's your kind of traveling, consider subscribing. Now, in this very special two-part video series, I'll be sharing my best and personally scariest paranormal evidence that I've caught on camera so far. Now, we all know when you go in search of the paranormal, finding evidence can be hit or miss. Sometimes you luck out and find it when you're looking for it, such as my video on the Virginia City Ghost Tour in Nevada. Other times you can be filming and unintentionally catch something unusual, such as my video about the investigation into haunted picnic table number 29 in Griffith Park, Los Angeles. In either case, they were both unexpected and a pleasant surprise. But then there's also what we don't think about are the unintended consequences of delving into the paranormal, of going to all these haunted locations, and the long-term effects it can have on your personal life. That I'm going to share in part 2 of this video series, but more on that at the end of this video. For now, let's take a journey. Oh, hey, what's up, my friends? Real quick, just heading out to Van Nuys to attend a ghost hunting event put on by author Craig Owens. He wrote the book Haunted by History, which delves into the paranormal history of these old hotels and buildings in downtown LA. So tonight he's hosting a ghost hunting event at an old Elks Lodge here in Van Nuys. Apparently they have reports of poltergeist activity, the tops flying off of tequila bottles, strange noises, the whole 9 yards. And we're going to be joined by the duo from Hollyweird Paranormal. They are a true crime and paranormal podcast. They will be hosting a show live from the event. So it should be a good night. Anything strange happens, I will also let you know. At the Elks Lodge, number 2790 in Van Nuys, California, hosted by Bizarre Los Angeles, aka Craig Owens. Thank you, Craig. We had a blast. I am joined by the lovely Tammy with Hollyweird Paranormal. Tammy, how you doing?
I am doing very well, slightly spooked.
Yeah, it was, they liked you tonight, I think so.
Yeah, they liked a lot of females.
Yeah, they responded to you way more than they did me, which I'm okay with that. Okay. So tell us first a little bit about Hollyweird Paranormal. You're a podcast here in LA. You're true crime and
paranormal. Yeah, so we're a Hollywood true crime and paranormal podcast where we talk about true crime and the Paranormal Association, or anything crazy and weird that pertains in and around the Hollywood or Hollyweird area. It's really cool to travel to places like the Elks Lodge here in Van Nuys and listen to their stories as well. There's a ton of them that the members have shared with us tonight.
So now, we're here for ghost hunting, and we spent the evening in different areas of the lodge. You had your EVP recorder with you.
Yes.
I pretty much handled the camera tonight, as you can tell. So what stood out to you tonight?
One of the rooms upstairs really stood out, and it started with an EVP that the first group caught, and it was a Class 8 EVP, which means it was highly intelligent, very clear, and very responsive. Yeah. And I'll definitely, he'll have it on his channel as well. We have it played and recorded, and I have it recorded too on my recorder, but it was so amazing and brilliant.
Can you play the EVP for them one more time? So this is what she collected. At what time do you guys think it was?
Right before he walked in.
Okay, 8:04.
Mm-hmm.
Are you here? Yes. Who are you trying to contact? what do you want to tell her? I'm here. How's it going?
Was it?
It just sounds like leave now or get Ben.
Or where you've been?
Where you been?
I got where you've been personally, but
We stayed in that room, in that storage area, and I captured some images on my camera that were...
it was cozy.
Yeah.
A little intimate, but
A little intimate.
Yeah,
It was
but
like
we're all right.
10 of us in there.
we're all adults. It's
But
okay.
I captured something on my camera that I can't even explain, and I'll post it on our Instagram. But it was a weird shapes of light that didn't look like an insect created it. So, yeah.
And there was my theory about it too, that it may have been something like, this is like, they have all these traditions here, they wear all these like
Yes.
ceremonial garb, so maybe it was something that they held as part of their ceremony, like a scepter or a wand or something along those lines. It was too straight and like for anything I've seen before.
It was a vertical line. It was just so prominent. It didn't look like an insect had created it. And then I took another one right afterwards, because when you're a paranormal investigator, it's always good to take up 2 pictures back to back. And it kind of morphed into this like curved line. This like vertical curved line. So
Yeah, and see, that's what you would normally see more often if it is a light from, say, like a spirit. Okay?
Yeah.
Usually the light will travel at an arc. There'll be a slight
it
bend
was
to
like
it.
it was like a little. It looked like a little cane.
Yeah,
So
the first one was just a straight line. It was
Yeah,
like
it
a
was
solid, like an iron bar or something.
I thought
so.
it was an iron bar, and the second picture it wasn't there anymore. It was just this curvature. So
And the Class A EVPs, I mean, when she plays it back, I believe I have it on here, but when she plays it back, it was like 3 responses.
back to back.
Back to back. The second one sounded like growling
Yeah.
from under your basement, and don't go under there, just move out of your house. Kind
Yeah.
of growling. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm stepping out.
Yeah.
Who are you trying to contact?
The second one that we were involved in the area, there was like a bar,
Yes.
and you had asked, did they ask if they were killed?
Yes. So we were doing a voice box session, and I had my spirit box, which is a little device that picks up on white noise and radio frequencies, and it is determined that and claimed that spirits use those radio frequencies to communicate. So they take those radio waves and use those words from promotions or songs to communicate. And I asked, because there was a murder that occurred on the 2nd level here, if someone had died or was murdered on the 2nd floor, and it said 187. Was someone killed on this floor? It said 187. What does 187 mean?
That's a police code for murder.
I just heard 187.
That's a homicide, which is a police code for homicide. And I don't think you were familiar with that.
I wasn't familiar. I knew it had something to do with something very bad.
Yeah.
So it was
And-
pretty intelligent. Yeah.
And when I heard that, I was like, that's an interesting kind of response. Like, because I have a background, I used to work in a prison. And something about that, I just had a feeling.
Yeah.
So after she had asked that, and it said 187, I said, are you a police officer? Unless you're trying to say 10-4. I assume you'd have a lot of police officers that were elks here in this part of town.
Yeah,
All of them.
because right south in the parking lot.
10-4 is a copy, right? It means copy.
10-4 means yes.
Yes.
But just to respond with a 187, that just sounded like someone in law enforcement. They're very direct and to the point.
That was extremely direct. Yeah.
So yeah, that was a. I'm glad I shared that with you. Like, fist
Yeah.
bump.
Fist
Okay.
bump. Shh. There we go.
So today I flew out to Las Vegas, Nevada to do my first ever collaboration video with none other than the queen of urban exploring herself, Wonder Hussy.
Yay! Hi, everybody.
Hi. So here's the deal. See, I'm more the paranormal guy, whereas she's like, would you say you're a hardcore skeptic?
I'm a die-hard skeptic. I've been to a lot of allegedly haunted places in my urbex adventures, and I'm yet to witness anything I couldn't explain.
Yeah, actually, the first video of yours I watched was when the first time you stayed at the Clown Motel.
That's one of my favorite places to stay.
Yes, and I've been there. Yeah, I actually had something weird happen to me there. But
well, they just remodeled it, so you better go back.
I want to go back. So I had the idea of a collaboration video, and I heard the idea. I'm like, hey, what if have you heard of Zach Bagan's? Have you heard of the Haunted Museum? And she's like, yeah, that's real close by, because you're a native of Las Vegas.
Yeah, I live like less than a mile from here, and I've driven by this museum countless times, and I've always been curious about it. So when you proposed going to check it out, I actually thought it was a great idea.
Yeah, because it's like, I'm flying 300 miles, she's driving down the street, and who was late?
Well, I left my microphone at home.
Yes. So basically, if you're not familiar with it, it's a paranormal museum. It's not one of those Halloween time actors jump out and scare you. No. Zach Bagan, star of the TV show Ghost Inventors, he purchased all these different cursed items, haunted items from around the country, around the world, and he put them in one house. And the house itself has a history of being haunted all on its own. Especially if you're... Now, did you feel or sense anything weird? Did you get a sense of anything at any point of any kind?
I did not. Did you?
Okay, so the closest thing I experienced, because I've watched all the documentaries about this, I've read all the books, everything about it, so I had an idea of what to expect going in. So I took some necessary precautions where I wore a Benedictine bracelet and another bracelet with Catholic saints on them. So when we got to the house, the tour guide took us around outside, and it's one of the few places you can actually take pictures. So there was a scarecrow out there. I'm like, okay, I want to get a picture of the scarecrow. And I started to walk closer with my camera to get a picture. The closer I walked, my wrist started heating up. It was like, I felt like hot pinpricks just around my wrists. And I'm like, why does that feel weird? Then I realized I'm wearing the bracelets. And more than once while we were in there, it felt like my wrists were heating up. I'm wondering if something in there reacted to the religious aspect of these bracelets.
I mean, there was a lot of satanic stuff in there.
Yeah, there was way more than I expected. I mean, I knew there was going to be some, but yeah, more than once I'm like, okay, I'm doing the whole Linda Carter Wonder Woman thing. Like, the only time I felt something other than my wrists, like kind of getting warm, or like it felt like like embers from a fire when they land on your arm. That's what it felt like on both my wrists. That's the weirdest sensation.
Oh, wow.
And the only other thing is there was a head, the skull of a man, the Hungarian guy, was he? Apparently when he was buried, he was considered so evil that he made the ground evil. So they dug him up, cut off his head, and sent off his head somewhere.
Oh, gosh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was a head that was in the shelf, so it had some skin on it.
There was so much stuff in that museum, you can't possibly see it all, because
That's true.
I understand, like, it was a 2-hour tour, but you constantly feel like you're being rushed through. Like, there's so much in there.
And you have so many people. There's like a couple hundred people, probably more a day.
It's crowded, but
so
I mean,
you're bumping into other groups.
I understand why, you can't spend all friggin' day in there, but you could easily.
Well, when we went in that room, because the way it's set up, it's a glass shelf in a tiny room. So you walk in one door and you kind of just make a U-turn. And before you make the U-turn, you look at the head in the shelf. Well, when I looked at the small head in the shelf, it felt like something like, I don't want to say hit me in the chest, but I felt like something inside my chest just kind of sunk.
Oh yeah, I heard you, didn't you mention that to the tour guide? Yeah, I heard you say that.
Yeah, that's why I was like, it was an unusual feeling. Now,
boy, I'll say.
Now, is this something you would do again?
Yeah, actually, I would do that. I mean, I'd probably wait a bit so he can get some new artifacts, before I go right back in there.
Probably a few months. I mean, they're always bringing
it seems like he's like actively collecting stuff. So yeah, I would definitely go do that again. In fact, I thought right straight away of a girlfriend I have that would love that freaking place. So yeah, I liked it much more than I thought I was going to. I'm actually gonna go on TripAdvisor and write a good review of it.
In the heart of Los Angeles, Griffith Park has had a history of paranormal activity going back well over 150 years. And this video will be the first time anyone has gone on location to each of its haunted hotspots. So let's take a journey. Picnic table number 29, quite possibly the park's most well-known urban legend. And this legend has its origin on Halloween night 1976, when a young couple were making love on top of the picnic table. The tree next to it fell over and crushed them both. They died that night. November 7th, exactly 1 week later, park employee Morris Carl was tasked with cutting up the tree and removing it. And that's when something strange started to happen. Now, while researching this, I came across a unique fact and a very unique theory about what took place here. Fact, this tree has been laying here in this spot for 42 years, and it hasn't rotted at all. If anything, the leaves are green, you have pine cones. But what I find most curious is directly in the center, you have this green shrub growing straight up, smaller little flowers on the outside of it, very healthy, almost kind of pretty actually. And then there's a very unique theory about what took place. In the paranormal community, there is a term called spirit brood. Essentially what that is a spirit brood is when more than one ghost, apparition, specter, whatever you want to call it, a group of them feed off human energy. They work together. And there's two classifications of a spirit brood, roaming and bound. A roaming spirit brood will follow the person they're feeding on, or individuals they're feeding on. A bound spirit brood is fixated on one location. So, for instance, if the person they're feeding on happens to leave, that brood will go dormant until such time as they may be disturbed. Recently, I took a trip up to Virginia City, Nevada, and I discovered that it's not only a beautiful historic Old West mining town, but among paranormal investigators, it's considered to be the most haunted city in America. So what could I do? I went on a haunted ghost tour in the most haunted town in the country, and this is what I experienced.
Visitors sit like this. Have you ever used one of these before? Mm-mm. Okay, so I'm gonna have you hold it straight up. All right, so what we're gonna do is ask the spirits yes or no questions. So if it moves like this, that's going to be a no. If it moves this way, that's going to be a yes. And if it kind of goes in a circle, that's going to be like an I don't know or I don't want to tell you. If it starts to move a lot in between questions, I'll have you ask it to go back to neutral, which should make it slow down and stop. If you notice we got some wind, this is going to be the interesting thing. If we're getting some really strong answers, you're going to see this pendulum actually fighting against the wind to actually answer the questions we're asking. So the first thing I want you to ask is, let's try for one of the miners. Why don't you ask if there's a miner that would like to come out and communicate with us?
Is there a miner that would like to come out and communicate with us? Looks like a yes to me.
It does. See how it's sort of fighting?
Yeah.
Okay, I want you to tell it to go back to neutral.
Go back to neutral.
Very good. Are you sure you haven't done this before?
I haven't done this before, but I've communicated before.
Oh, nice. One miner here. Ask him if he died in the mines.
Did you die in one of the mines?
Oh, now that's a nice yes.
Yes.
Ask you to go back to neutral.
Go back to neutral.
Wow, you're really good.
Okay, that's a little weird.
Yeah. Ask him if he's with other miners.
Are you with other miners tonight?
So interesting when you see it kind of fight against that way the wind's be doing it.
I did notice it didn't move when a strong gust.
Yeah.
It was like, that was interesting.
So that was definitely. Thank you very much for talking with us tonight. We appreciate that, and we will be back again to see you.
Oh, now it's like in a
Thank you.
circle.
Thank you very much.
Wow, now the circle is like an I don't know kind of thing.
Not understanding.
Maybe they don't want us to leave.
That could be.
Would you like for us to stay here tonight?
Oh, did you see how it just switched?
Okay.
Nice.
All right, it's dark, so you can't see the chills on my arm.
Very cool. Well, we wish that we could stay, but we're gonna go walk around and we're gonna tell some more stories about this place, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to some more spirits. But thank you for the invitation to hang out. We appreciate it.
Be at peace.
All right, we tried using one of the methods they would have used back in the days of spiritualism. We're gonna try something a little bit different now, something a little bit more modern. This is an SB7. What it does is it scans the airwaves and creates basically what's considered white noise. Now the theory is that the spirits can manipulate that white noise to actually speak with us. So we are going to see if we can get Peter to come out. Every once in a while. There we go. Peter? Peter, if you can hear me, we'd love to have you join us. Can you say hello so we know you're here? Hello, Peter. Now that almost sounded like a woman. There was a nice hello from another.
Hello,
Peter,
Peter.
I hope you're not hanging out with your ex-girlfriend. She's the one that got you in all this trouble. Sounds like you got a lot of friends with you. I'm gonna have you try asking something.
Are you at peace? You are? Do you like communicating with us, with Libby? We hope all of you are at peace. Is that a pinky? Okay, I got some serious stuff. Wow.
Well, Peter and your friends, I want to thank you so much for coming out communicating with us tonight. You guys have been amazing. We hope you're just as talkative the next time we're out here. And we hope that all of you have a really great night. We can't wait to talk to you again when we're right here.
Peter?
So many of us talking. That was a good
Oh,
night.
man.
That was just really a good night.
Great night to be filming.
Whoa.
Totally a good night.
Okay, yeah, my friends are gonna blow their mind. Yeah, nobody's gonna believe me.
That was totally a good night.
That was so cool.
But the light in there is great.
That was so cool.
That was very cool. This has been an actual.
I'm in a very rainy Vancouver, British Columbia, about to have lunch in a haunted trolley car in the old spaghetti factory in historic Gastown. Let's take a journey. So, given that our flight leaves in a few hours, I really didn't have the time to make a video like I wanted to about the ghost of the old spaghetti factory here in Vancouver's Gastown district. But it's still really cool. Haven't seen anything, but I'm checking the pictures I took, and we'll go from there. Part of the story says that there happens to be a vortex back here where they think some of the ghosts emanated from, but there's 4 that are seen around here all the time. One of the conductor, one of a little short red-haired dude they call the little red man or Looky Loo, and a third one was of a little boy who has no eyes or has empty eye sockets, and the 4th was a little girl carrying a balloon, apparently looking for her mother, which is kind of sad. But they also reported there's a possible vortex back here. So if you're ever at the old spaghetti factory in historic Gastown in Vancouver, British Columbia, and you need to use the restroom, walk to the back and make a right at the vortex. And there you have it, some of my best paranormal evidence that I've caught on camera so far, as well as a shared experience that, while it may not have been on camera, it was no less unsettling when I experienced it. And speaking of unsettling, what about that paranormal evidence that you don't catch on camera, but follows you home, in the form of a ghostly attachment? It's a risk we all take in this field by entering so many reportedly haunted locations. Well, I took that risk, and it happened to me. But I discovered while editing this video that I had inadvertently filmed the journey of this ghostly attachment. I have on film when I believe it first happened, when I discovered it, And then when I finally came to terms with it, with the help of a very well-known psychic who's a series regular on Ghost Adventures, Patty Negri. All of this and more in part 2 of this video series next week. Until then, stay safe in all your travels, and I'll see you on the journey.